Hoes who stay up consistently until 3 a.m. Why? Nobody expects anything from you at night. You don't have to feel guilty for doing nothing. I don't know. I'd love to understand why I constantly make bad decisions and don't learn from them. Graveyard shift. Because a spider came in my room and I never found it. Insomnia. I fucked up my sleeping schedule so bad because I stay up every night and sleep during the day. Therefore I cannot fall asleep at night because I already slept during the day, and the cycle just continues. I was a night owl by nature, then I worked 20 years on night shifts. It's permanent at this point. Moved back in with my parents this week with the goal of saving for a down payment to buy a house. It's day 4 now. I'm looking at any rental I can find. The savings of rent aren't worth the mental toll. What have you slowly lost all respect for? Company loyalty. I had only been at my first post-college job a year when they had layoffs, but they didn't get rid of the new person. They fired my coworker who had just celebrated her 15-year work anniversary. They didn't even do it in a dignified way, and the way she sobbed while packing up her things is burned into my memory. Now I don't think twice when a better opportunity pops up. I doubled my income when I left that place and went to the next. There's no reason to stick around a job any longer than it serves you, because your job won't think twice about getting rid of you to save a few bucks. Military forces in my country. They are criminals in uniform, elderly people who are extreme bullies to retail workers. I understand being in pain doesn't put one in the best mood, but to personally verbally abuse someone you don't know because things are slightly inconvenient. Grind culture. I'm so over the concept of working myself to death, but I still kind of do. Also yes, I'm in no way special in this regard, and basic survival is a thing too. People in power. It seems they all have shady shit going on. Do you still use a face mask in public? Why or why not? Yes, in most public settings, because I am classed as a vulnerable person, and if I get sick I will be very sick. Also my mother is a super vulnerable person, so if she gets it she will be dead. I also sanitize my hands and wipe down shopping trolleys each time I am using them. I am fully vaxxed and boosted and I have not had it yet, so I think I am doing the right thing, given that I work with a population of young germ spreaders. So far, so good. Yes, I like to dress up as Batman, and the costume isn't complete without the mask. I still do, because it turns out that the mask helps me with my horrible allergies. I have been able to avoid going on steroid treatment because I have been wearing a mask. If I'm in a place where it is required or requested, I will wear a mask without any sort of additional argument or discussion. Otherwise, generally not. Yes, I have cancer and don't want to tax my weakened immune system. Yeah, why not? It's almost zero effort and it can help myself and people around me. I'd rather not wear pants in public, in which case, the mask might be an even better idea. What made the high school legend become a legend? Our legend was actually the gym teacher. He became a legend by getting hit by a bus, getting up, getting on the bus and asking if everyone was okay. He ended up getting fired about 5 years after I graduated because he was caught soaking raisins in vodka and then eating them over the course of the day. Never change, Mr. Lev. There was this girl, Kelly, who was very tiny, quiet, and seemingly well-mannered. Very unassuming girl. I don't think anyone knew who she was, big school, until she was escorted off campus by the police for stealing the credit card information of 14 students and going on a shopping spree. She disappeared for a year before somehow being allowed back in for her senior year. Instead of being a pariah, this girl somehow became a damn meme. Free Kelly posters would pop up with her mugshot on them. Her name was incorporated into chants used at football games like she was a weapon that could be used against the opposing team, and she was at the top of everyone's party invite list. What was a crazy thing that happened in your school? One kid stole another kid's skateboard, so the kid went home, got a sword, and returned to the school to get that skateboard back. There was once a mysterious ticking noise coming from a locker in the ladies' changing rooms, so instead of asking the girl what was in there, they shut the whole place down and called the police. The police brought with them a bomb squad. Once the locker was opened, they found a watch that could have killed us all. Sat at lunch eating my food like any normal day when I saw a mildly mentally challenged boy beat a girl with a glass bottle. Then the principal stepped in. He ended up attacking the principal and they rolled around on the ground as multiple other teachers had to hold him back. Also, algebra teacher was having a relationship with a 13-year-old girl. The family was aware and okay with it. The school was not. A policeman came to talk to us about drugs and he had a board with baggies of different drugs, I think under that assumption that we should know how to identify them. Someone stole the board from under his nose and the whole school went into lockdown as they searched every locker and bag and they never found it. Someone peed in the soap dispenser, so for the rest of my middle school years there were no more soap dispensers. In school, what were you famous for? My full name is 22 letters long. More often than not, my name would decide the width of the name column in every class one was in, and therefore stood out quite a bit. I only wish it was not a boys-only school. I was known for being the most bullied person in our year group. I found out about this when I left and somehow matched with a guy from school on Tinder a few years later. It went around a few year groups, so even people I'd never met recognized me. Very odd. My role was the famous, he went to school with us. Quiet, religious, but suspended for an alleged bomb plot. My school removed soda machines, so I became known for selling Coca-Cola relatively quickly. Made decent money too. Some teachers were in on it and supported me because all vending machines had Coke products removed, not just student machines. In high school I was called the city girl, 'cause I was in a small town and grew up in the city. For looking tired and high all the time. I've never done drugs in my life. Setting myself on fire in chemistry. What was the most legendary thing a student did at school? They found out the password for the high school's website and edited all sorts of things. Whether it was exposing certain faculty for being scummy, creepy by rewriting their bios, or changing the campus security and safety tab to snitches get stitches, it made quite the buzz for years to come, and as far as I know, they never got caught. My friend once was pissed off at the rest of us guys, 5 of us. He chased us into the bathroom because he wanted to be a tough guy and thought one of us was hiding in a stall. He says, "Peekaboo, I see you," and kicks the stall door in on a teacher we all knew, taking a crap. The teacher said, "I see you too, Nathan, now close the door." I will die the day I forget about that, lol. This kid in my class put the school for sale on Craigslist. He provided the school's attendance office number as a point of contact because everyone hated the receptionist there. They were getting calls from interested buyers for days who wanted to buy a multiple acres of property with a big swimming pool and a track. The senior prank one year was hiring a mariachi band to follow our principal around all day. He loved it, went classroom to classroom so everyone could see it and take pictures, videos, and have a fun break from class. People who live at tourist destinations, what is it you wish tourists would stop doing when visiting? Don't freaking carve your name on stuff. The amount of people who need to carve their names onto historical buildings and statues are just crazy. Don't be a bad person. You are ruining the place. Going on the black rocks and being swept out to the Atlantic Ocean, risking the lives of first responders and locals, many of whom are already traumatized from Swiss Air. For your sake, stop trying to pet the buffalo. Or don't. Some of us are entertained by the videos of you flying through the air, stopping their cars in the middle of the road to take in a view. What the freak? Stop feeding the damn seagulls. Spain. We get a shitfuckton of tourists. Very well behaved for the most part where I am. So, thanks for doing it right, tourists. The worst is littering on the beach, which is thankfully pretty rare. I occasionally see someone put a cigarette butt in the sand. A lot are taken away when they leave, but the sand has a way of hiding stuff, so a lot remain. I'll give you tourists one tip. Night swimming. If you put your keys, glasses, etc. down in the sand, they're gone. Between the sand and the dark, you'll never see them again. What's a secret you'll never tell your partner but are willing to tell strangers on Reddit? Whenever she's not home, I let the dog onto the bed and take a really comfy nap. I set an alarm for an hour and kick the dog off and clean the fur off before she ever gets home. I've been doing this for nearly 3 years now. That my wife always screams, she just doesn't seem to be able to talk at a normal level. Feel like she should be selling fish at a marketplace. Love her though. My husband loves talkative cats. When we first got our kittens, I gave them a treat every time they made a meow or chirp. Since I was working from home, they ended up becoming very vocal. He still goes on about how lucky we are to have such talkative cats on a weekly basis. My partner doesn't know how bad my mental health really is. She knows I've reached out for support but doesn't know the extent of help I'm seeking. I just can't bring myself to say those words to her. Sometimes I just sit in my car outside work or our apartment for 20 to 30 minutes because I need some time alone. I have my mind full to the brim at work and rarely get time in the house alone. Sometimes I just need it to be quiet and not have to pay attention to anything. Military personnel of Reddit. What's the best, weirdest, funniest punishment you've seen handed down by a superior? United States Marine Corps here. In our unit we had one guy that would constantly hum songs. Well, one day our commanding officer had enough of his behavior, so he tells him to report to his locker. So he goes to his locker and stands in front of it. Commanding officer tells him to get inside the locker. When he does, he shuts and locks the door with him inside. He reaches into his pocket and pulls out a quarter and pushes it through the vent holes and tells the guy to start singing, and tells him that whenever someone puts a quarter in the slot he was to sing another song. This went on for 6 hours. The guy made around $15 in quarters and we were all in pain from laughing at him. Needless to say, he acquired the name Jukebox and never hummed again. In US Army basic training, one soldier lost his canteen and asked the drill sergeant if he had seen it. The drill was angry at this for some reason and made the private wander around for a few hours asking all kinds of inanimate objects if they had seen his canteen. So things like, "Truck, have you seen my canteen?" Throwaway time. What's your secret that could literally ruin your life if it came out? I used to be a police fire 911 dispatcher, but had to quit because it nearly made me suicidal. I actually had thoughts, but had to drive 40 miles to go to a hospital where no one knew me for help. I have nightmares about a few calls I took where the caller killed themselves, shot someone else, or passed away on the phone with me. To this day, a few years after resigning, I still can't listen to a phone ring, or sirens go off without having a mild panic attack. I am fairly sure it's a form of PTSD, with flashbacks, nightmares, panic attacks, and an inability to function sometimes, but I'm embarrassed and scared to tell my fiancé, or go to a doctor for it. I know there are soldiers out there with real PTSD that deserve help far more than me. I am very good at hiding it though. I also sometimes wait until my fiancé goes to sleep, and I will then go sit and pretty much cry for several hours. It's hell. What is that story from your school? School trip to China. On the day of return, a 16-year-old girl from my grade stole a pair of sunglasses from the airport and got caught by airport security. She stayed behind while everyone went home. Her parents had to fly to China from halfway across the world to bail her out. Made the news. Morning news show crew had their camera accidentally go live and broadcast to the entire school a student sucking a Pop-Tart in a suggestive manner, and another flipping off the camera. Folks, if you're in front of a camera, always assume it is on. Someone decided to smoke pot near some sort of vent and an entire wing of the school had to be shut down for it. A guy got stabbed in the back. The attacker fled. He pulled the knife out of his back himself and then chased after his attacker like the freaking Hulk. There was a kid who intentionally took a crap in the middle of the gym for $10 and for some reason everyone called him Parmesan after that. Men, in your opinion, What's wrong with modern day dating? It's online first of all. Second, it's online. It's so digitized. Fake, incredibly nearby, and yet far away. Where do you meet women in a healthy environment? I'm over the bar scene and dating apps. My question, I guess, is my answer to this. I'm out of college with no prospects, just work and sleep. That a small percentage of both men and women with bad behavior ruin it for the genuine people that are seeking a healthy relationship. The perception that there's more options than there really is. When people realize this isn't the case, they get frustrated and want to give up. It never feels appropriate to approach women and ask them out in real life. No clue. I don't play losing games. How to build charisma as an introvert. Easiest way I've found is to genuinely care about the person in the conversation. Obviously being witty, kind and happy helps too, but start with focusing on them, not on you. Just put some points in charisma when you level up. The biggest tip I can offer is to try and externally process during conversations, by which I mean just voice your thoughts aloud. I've convinced a lot of people I'm an extrovert by just externally processing when I first meet them or talk to them in a business or more public setting. Works like a charm. Lol. I built charisma through music. I started going to concerts this year and I finally came out of my shell. Read some philosophy, learn about the universe. Knowledge is power, power is confidence, confidence is a happy spirit is contentment. What do men need to hear more often? Literally anything positive and reassuring. Man, your video game collection is awesome. A sincere thank you. And, just let it out, man. It's all good. You don't need to apologize for existing. That there's more to life than love and relationships. Focus on self-growth, personality and pursuing your passions. Would you like another blowjob, honey? Get up and do shit that benefits you. Cool shirt or anything. Silence. What gut feeling of yours turned out to be true? That my husband of 26 years was cheating with someone from work. In high school, a friend of mine started dating a guy and something about him rubbed me the really wrong way. I even told her something was wrong with him. She definitely didn't agree with me. Until he was arrested for doing things to little girls. I had a gut feeling to sit in my car for an extra 5 minutes after me and my friend left his apartment. He went ahead and left before me. On the way home I passed by a huge 7-car wreck. He was in it. He's okay by the way, just totaled his car. If I had left behind him I would have been in it too. That medicine they've been using to treat SARS for the last 20 years was probably the right one. The media freaked out because it's a cheap generic drug, and they are all funded by big pharma companies who are poised to get multiple $100 billion government contracts out of the pandemic. And now people taking the new drug keep asking why their mouth tastes like tonic water. It's quinine. What is normal at 3 p.m., but terrifying at 3 a.m.? Car pulling into your driveway. My Google Home on max volume saying, microphone disconnected. Microphone connected. I live alone. Breaking news. Having had to flee my home at 2 a.m. due to wildfires, I'd say heavy traffic. Digging a hole. Tornado siren test. Guaranteed it's not a test at 3 a.m. A kid's toy going off in a random room. Dog standing at the top of the stairs and barking at something on the main floor. A phone call from parents or relatives, etc. What part of your body gets the most sweaty? Pits and underboob. Behind the knees. My underboob and butt crack. Every freaking where. Name a body part and I sweat there. I spend summers wanting to rip my skin off. Upper lip. Hands, feet, butt and face. I got hyperhidrosis, baby. I'm a waterfall. My hair. I get greasy quick no matter what hair product I use. Since I have bangs, I can easily look like a horned owl. My thighs. Cannot sit anywhere in shorts in the summertime. Feet. I hit M with antiperspirant spray and that keeps M from getting ick, but they still sweat. What was the most memorable thing your class clown ever did? Ordered a pizza to the window of our math class and actually made the transaction through the window. Spray painted the words, "Stop Vandalism," on the side of the school. Built a functioning bong in art class during our clay unit. While the teacher admired his craftsmanship, he had to report it and couldn't let the guy take it home. Moron glued his mouth shut with Gorilla Glue for $10. He didn't get paid. In 5th grade, he caught a cricket on the playground, then brought it to class, yelled for everyone to look at him, and then ate it. Dressed up like the girl he hated for Halloween, complete with wig and glasses in his sister's school uniform. School called his parents to pick him up halfway through the day. I remember in my 8th grade English class, there was this one kid who had a really bad stutter, like really bad. Turns out he didn't even have a stutter at all. He just started it as a joke and went with it for every one of his classes the entire year. Only the teachers thought he had a stutter, but all the students knew. We all kept it a secret. In our 8th grade science classroom, he pulled the emergency shower and flooded the classroom. Only got 1 day of lunch detention for it. What was your school's huge scandal? My school district gave all high school students laptops that they could bring home with them to use for school work. They could also remotely activate the webcams and spy on students. Although of course they didn't tell us this. One kid got caught smoking weed this way while he was in his room at home and I think was going to get suspended. He sued the district in response for invasion of privacy and won the case. It got national media attention for a little while. One 9th grader broke water on her field trip and one of the teachers had to help deliver the baby. 2 things. We had a bomb threat and the teachers would not tell us who sent it until the school paper leaked it, and for the rest of the year admin and the paper had a back and forth power battle. Not our school but our sister school. The principal of that school got fired because he was found in a hotel room with a dead hooker on the bed and a mountain of coke on the desk. A very popular guy at my school was arrested for videotaping people using the restroom. He was 18. They were not. A girl died in the pool during an event at the school. The swim teacher was blamed and was prosecuted. The girl who died was at my sister's class, both were 7 at the time. That happened over 10 years ago, but the parents haven't had another child since, she was their only kid.